Hey everybody. Today we have an interview with another successful intellectual, Qambar. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for having me today.
I'm very glad to see you today. Qambar has band 7 in IELTS, and I'd like to ask you some questions about that, about your success, about your performance on the test. Let's start with the fact that you decided to go to Samarkand to take the IELTS test rather than taking it here in Horizon. Can you tell us something about that experience of yours?
It, it was a bad experience for me because I opted for the choice of taking the test in Samarkand because I thought that taking it in Samarkand would give me more responsibility, but actually I was wrong. So, but still I managed to get 8 in listening, and I want to say a few things about listening, what I did. While I was practicing listening at home, I was actually trying to keep a track of the listening recordings. For example, in part 1, they kind of used descriptive language very easy on a general, like kind of too generic, and anybody can understand that. And in part 4, they use kind of implicit language, meaning they don't really use descriptive language, but they use different words. But a candidate should be able to understand them if they want to get more than 7.5. And also one thing I want to mention is that I was really having problems with multiple choice questions, but after you taught one thing, which was only underlining words in instructions in question, but not options. So I practiced with them, and I think they did indeed help it.
Yeah, because when they give you time to prepare for multiple choice questions,
Yes.
this time is not sufficient to underline too many words. So only words and questions can be enough.
Yeah, and it was indeed helpful.
And apart from the listening test, you also succeeded in the speaking test. What can you say about that? What helped you to achieve that high score, band 7?
I think the fact that I live in Hiva actually helped me to some extent, and also the time I spent for practicing speaking with a friend of mine, Fazıl Bey. If you are watching us, shout out to you. We used to practice speaking every other day. He used to come to my house, and we used to practice speaking more than 1 minute. But one thing we were not really practicing was using kind of topic-related vocabularies, especially in part 2. And also in part 3, we were also talking about many ideas, but many of them were not actually related to the question. So I think, but anyway, still, if a candidate wants to get 7, their speaking and their speech abilities should be somewhere where anybody can understand them. And also, it's not a good idea to try to showcase your accent or your fake made up languages and a vocabulary. Just keep it as simple as possible and just do your best and be natural.
Plus, practicing at home alone isn't as effective as practicing with a partner, right? Like
Yes.
you worked with Fazıl Bey. Does that help as well?
And it helped, yes.
One more thing I want to ask you. You know, I really believe that you had a chance to get a higher score. We both expected that. But I think the reason is not the intellectual ability or language skills. I think the problem was that you bought the ticket too late. Like, you took the test on the day of arrival, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes, I took a train on March, 4 p.m. And when I going to Samarkand on the train, I met some friends. I was actually planning to, put on my earpods and then listen to some English music, but I was mistaken. I saw some of my classmates, and some of them were actually having a little kind of party, and then I didn't sleep. And then the following day on March at 1 p.m., I took the test. It was very little time in between going from Khiva to Samarkand.
So I think that is the reason. You were exhausted. When you arrived, you were tired, I'm sure, and that can also affect. So what I personally recommend, if you're planning to take the test in another city, like Samarkand or Tashkent, buy the ticket a bit earlier. Like, you should have 1 day between the arrival and the IELTS test. Am I right?
Yes, you are.
That can help a lot. So I really have the potential to get a higher score. Do you have a plan to take the IELTS test one more time, someday in the future?
In the short term, these upcoming months, I'm not really planning to take the test, but sure I will take the test one more time, because the other two components, reading and writing, were much lower than compared to listening and speaking. So for that matter, I really want to take the test again.
And I wish you more success, not only in your academic performance, but in everything you start in your life.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Yeah.
Goodbye.